What if the very thing you take to protect your health, something as familiar and routine as a daily vitamin, was silently increasing your risk of stroke while you sleep? No pain, no warning, just a quiet shift in your body that could leave you waking up unable to speak clearly, move your arm, or even recognize your surroundings. As a doctor who's worked closely with older adults for over 3 decades, I've seen this scenario unfold more often than most would believe, not because of bad habits, but because of well-meaning ones. And the truth is, many of these incidents weren't caused by smoking, poor diet, or lack of exercise. They were triggered by certain vitamins taken at the wrong time, in the wrong amount, or alongside the wrong medication. If that surprises you, you're not alone. Vitamins are marketed as safe, helpful, even essential. But what works for a 30-year-old doesn't always work the same for someone in their 70s or 80s. Your body changes. Your brain changes. And how you respond to supplements changes too. That's why this conversation matters. If you or someone you love takes vitamins regularly, I invite you to stay with me. This video could give you more than just information. It could give you back control. And if protecting your brain and your independence is something you care deeply about, I warmly invite you to subscribe to this channel. Here, we turn complex science into real-life wisdom, designed especially for thoughtful, health-conscious adults like you. Let's begin with one of the most trusted and most misunderstood supplements among older adults. Vitamin D. It's often seen as harmless, even essential. After all, we're told it strengthens bones, supports immunity, and brightens mood. And while that's true in many cases, there's a crucial layer of nuance most people never hear. The trouble isn't with vitamin D itself. It's with how easily it can be misused by accident. Let me share the story of one of my patients, Mrs. Linda Harris, 76, a retired teacher and proud grandmother of 5. She was vibrant, mentally sharp, and proactive about her health. For years, she took a daily high-dose vitamin D supplement, 5,000 IU, because she read it helped with aging bones and immunity. No doctor had prescribed it. It was a habit she picked up from a magazine. She always took it after dinner, just before bed. Then one morning, Linda woke up feeling off. Not dizzy, not in pain, just foggy. Her hands trembled slightly. Her blood pressure had spiked, and her calcium levels were well above normal. It wasn't a stroke, thankfully, but the early signs of what we call subclinical vascular stress. A red flag that something was straining her system, slowly, silently. You see, vitamin D helps your body absorb calcium. But as we age, our kidneys don't clear excess minerals as efficiently. So when someone without a deficiency takes high doses daily, the calcium that isn't used for bones can start to build up in the bloodstream. And when that happens, it doesn't just sit there. It finds its way into artery walls, heart valves, and brain vessels. That's when the risk increases for vascular hardening, blood pressure spikes, and especially during overnight hours, mini strokes. What made Linda's case more complicated was timing. Many older adults take their vitamins at night, thinking it's part of a winding down routine. But that's when your body is naturally trying to stabilize blood flow and repair tissues. Introducing a sudden surge of calcium and vitamin D in this vulnerable state can put extra pressure on the heart and brain, especially when dehydration and existing medications are already in play. Another issue. Most multivitamins already contain vitamin D combine that with additional supplements, fortified foods, and sun exposure. And many older adults are unknowingly getting 2 or 3 times the recommended amount. The truth is, most people over 60 need only 600 to 800 IU daily, sometimes more if there's a deficiency, but always under medical supervision. So what should you do? First, don't stop taking vitamin D out of fear. It has real, proven benefits. But don't assume more is better. If you've been taking supplements for a while, especially higher doses, ask your doctor to test your vitamin D and calcium levels. If you don't need a high dose, switch to a lower one, or consider getting your vitamin D through food and sunlight instead. Second, adjust the timing. Taking your supplements in the morning, especially those that influence calcium, can better align with your body's natural rhythms and reduce pressure during rest. And third, be mindful of combinations. Are you taking calcium, blood pressure meds, diuretics? All of these interact in subtle ways, especially as we age. Knowing what you're putting into your body and when is the quiet foundation of long-term wellness. Linda made a few small changes, lowered her dose, moved it to the morning, and increased hydration. Within 2 weeks, her fog lifted. She told me, "I thought I was doing something right. I just didn't realize the dose mattered so much." And that's the point. Vitamin D is not the enemy. But when taken without thought or testing, even the most helpful nutrients can have unintended consequences. So let this be a gentle reminder. Health is not just about habits, it's about awareness. Now let's turn to another nutrient that, like vitamin D, wears a halo of health in the eyes of many older adults. Vitamin E, marketed as a heart helper and antioxidant powerhouse. It's often seen as a natural shield against aging. But what if I told you that, under the wrong circumstances, this popular vitamin could quietly increase your risk of internal bleeding, especially in the brain? You wouldn't be alone in thinking vitamin E is entirely safe. For decades, it's been included in multivitamins, skincare products, and even brain supplements. Its role as a free radical scavenger sounds promising, and indeed, in the right amounts, it is beneficial. But here's what many people don't realize. Vitamin E also acts as a blood thinner, especially in high doses. And when combined with certain medications, that natural thinning effect can go too far. One patient I worked with, Mr. Samuel Blake, 82 years old, was a retired woodworker who prided himself on managing his health naturally. He took vitamin E every day, believing it would protect his heart and memory. What he didn't know was that he was also prescribed a low-dose aspirin for his blood pressure. At first, everything seemed fine, but one evening he developed a splitting headache and difficulty speaking. A scan at the ER revealed a minor brain bleed, not caused by trauma or high blood pressure, but by overthinned blood. The culprit: a combination of aspirin and high-dose vitamin E. You see, vitamin E, especially in doses over 400 IU, can interfere with blood clotting. That might sound helpful for circulation, but in the aging brain, even a small bleed can have life-altering consequences. Unlike external injuries, there are no bruises to warn you. The first sign might be slurred speech, vision changes, or confusion, and by then, damage may already be done. What's more concerning is that many seniors take vitamin E without realizing how much they're consuming. Some multivitamins contain 200 to 400 IU already. Add to that a memory booster supplement or an anti-aging blend, and suddenly you're doubling or tripling your intake without any medical oversight. If you're already on a blood thinner, whether aspirin, clopidogrel, Plavix, or warfarin, the risk climbs even higher. That's why organizations like the American Heart Association have cautioned against routine high-dose vitamin E supplementation in older adults without a specific medical indication. But the good news is, this risk is preventable. If you take a blood thinner, check your labels. Look at every bottle, especially those labeled natural or anti-aging. Don't be swayed by buzzwords like immune boost or heart support. Always read the fine print. And remember the recommended dietary allowance, RDA, for adults over 65 is just 15 milligrams, which is about 22 IU, a far cry from the megadoses in many popular products. Mr. Blake made a full recovery, thankfully, but the experience shook him. I thought I was doing everything right, he told me, but I didn't realize something natural could cause that much harm. That statement has stayed with me for years. And it's why I share this with you today, not to scare you, but to empower you. Vitamins can be powerful allies, but only when used with intention, moderation, and awareness of your full medical picture. Because in medicine, context is everything. Let's move now to a vitamin that many people believe helps their nerves, but can actually do the opposite when taken in excess. Vitamin B6. It's often marketed as a brain booster or nerve support vitamin. And in small, appropriate amounts, vitamin B6 is essential for the nervous system. It helps regulate neurotransmitters, supports metabolism, and plays a role in red blood cell formation. But here's the key truth many don't know. Too much vitamin B6 can actually damage your nerves, sometimes in ways that take months or years to reverse. I once worked with a woman named Patricia, 69, a retired florist who began experiencing tingling in her feet. At first, she brushed it off as poor circulation or just normal aging. But soon, the numbness spread to her hands. Her balance was off and she fell twice in 1 week. When she came in, she brought her supplements, 3 bottles of different brain health and energy formulas. Each one contained 50 to 100 milligrams of B6. Altogether, she was unknowingly taking over 200 milligrams a day, 20 times more than what her body actually needed. And here's the tricky part. Unlike some water-soluble vitamins that flush out easily, vitamin B6 can accumulate in tissues, especially when taken in high doses over long periods. In older adults, whose metabolism has naturally slowed down, that buildup happens more easily. The result? Peripheral neuropathy, a condition where the nerves in your hands and feet begin to misfire or go silent altogether. Symptoms of B6 toxicity often creep in slowly. A little numbness here, a small tremor there. Many people attribute these signs to arthritis, circulation issues, or even dementia. But the real cause may be something as simple and correctable as a supplement. The safe upper limit for B6 in older adults is around 100 mg per day, but in most cases, much less is needed, especially if you're getting some through food. Bananas, poultry, fish, potatoes, and fortified cereals all contain B6 in moderate amounts. Unless you have a diagnosed deficiency, megadoses are unnecessary and risky. When Patricia stopped the supplements and shifted to a food-based approach, her symptoms improved over time. She still has some numbness, but she's back to walking steadily and has become an advocate in her retirement group. Read the labels. Ask questions. Don't assume more means better, she often says. So if you're taking any supplement that includes the words energy, focus, or nerve health, check the label. Add up how much B6 you're actually consuming each day, from pills, powders, and even meal replacements. If it's over 50-100 mg and you're not under medical guidance, it's worth revisiting. Because just like with any powerful tool, even a good vitamin can turn harmful when used the wrong way. Next, let's turn our attention to a vitamin that's often associated with sharp vision and healthy skin. Vitamin A, it's one of those nutrients people rarely question. After all, who doesn't want better eyesight as they age? But hidden behind its glowing reputation lies a risk that many older adults have never been warned about. You see, vitamin A is fat-soluble, which means your body stores it in the liver, the skin, and even in brain tissue. Unlike water-soluble vitamins like C or B complex, which are flushed out regularly, excess vitamin A can quietly accumulate over time, especially when taken in high doses. Let me introduce you to Mr. Clarence Doyle, 78, a retired pianist from Michigan. He came into my clinic with a puzzling combination of symptoms: recurring headaches, blurry vision, and occasional dizziness. His family feared it might be early dementia or even a mini-stroke, but his scans showed no bleeding, no tumor, no clot. What we found instead was elevated intracranial pressure. Essentially, too much pressure inside the skull pressing on his optic nerves. The cause? A daily skin supplement he had been taking for years. Containing 10,000 IU of performed vitamin A, he believed it helped him age gracefully. But unbeknownst to him, the dose was well above the safe threshold for older adults, especially when combined with multivitamins and a diet already rich in vitamin A from liver, dairy, and leafy greens. Too much vitamin A can mimic the symptoms of a neurological issue. It can swell the optic nerve, create pressure around the brain, and even cause permanent vision damage if left unchecked. In severe cases, it leads to a condition called pseudotumor cerebri, a false brain tumor where the pressure builds up like there's a growth, even though there isn't one. Most people never suspect their supplements could be the reason they're suddenly experiencing double vision or strange headaches. They go from eye doctor to neurologist without anyone connecting the dots. That's why awareness matters so deeply. For healthy older adults, the recommended daily allowance, RDA, for vitamin A is just 2,500 to 3,000 IU, and most people already meet this through food. But many anti-aging supplements and eye formulas contain 5,000 to 10,000 IU, sometimes more. And when taken daily for years, even without symptoms at first, that buildup can silently do harm. Mr. Doyle thankfully caught the issue in time. We stopped the supplement, adjusted his diet, and within weeks the pressure in his head dropped. He told me later, "I thought I was nourishing my body. I didn't realize I was slowly overwhelming it." And that's the subtle danger of some vitamins. Not immediate, not dramatic, but persistent, quiet, easy to overlook until the damage is done. So here's what I want you to remember. Vitamin A is important, but you likely don't need more than what you get from your meals. Before adding any high-dose supplement, especially one marketed for skin, vision, or anti-aging, check the label. And if you're already taking a multivitamin, don't double up. More doesn't mean better. Sometimes more just means more risk. Now let's talk about a vitamin that's earned praise for its effects on heart health, but can carry hidden risks when taken in excess. Niacin, also known as vitamin B3. Niacin is often recommended for lowering cholesterol, supporting blood flow, and improving circulation. It's found naturally in foods like poultry, fish, legumes, and fortified grains. But in high doses, especially from supplements, niacin behaves very differently, and that's where the concern lies. One of my patients, Mr. Anthony Ruiz, 81, a retired postal worker from San Diego, began taking a heart health supplement he ordered online. The front label promised support for cholesterol and energy. What he didn't notice until later was the dosage: 1,000 mg of niacin per capsule. He took it twice a day, thinking it would help him feel stronger. Within a few weeks, he experienced intense facial flushing, heart palpitations, and episodes of dizziness, especially in the mornings. What was happening inside Anthony's body is something I've seen before. High-dose niacin causes your blood vessels to dilate suddenly, which leads to that characteristic warm, red flush. But what many people don't realize is what follows: a rebound constriction of the same blood vessels. This rapid tightening can spike blood pressure, create stress on the heart, and even reduce blood flow to the brain. In people with underlying cardiovascular conditions, or those taking medications for blood pressure, this creates a volatile situation. Anthony came to me after a particularly scary episode where he briefly slurred his words and lost balance. Thankfully, it wasn't a full stroke. It was a transient ischemic attack, TIA, often called a mini-stroke. While he recovered, it served as a wake-up call. What made his case even more concerning was that he was taking the flush-free version of niacin, a form many believe is safer. But studies have shown that even extended-release or non-flushing niacin can affect liver function, blood sugar levels, and blood pressure, especially in older adults. And the truth is, most seniors don't need high-dose niacin at all, unless it's prescribed and closely monitored by a physician for a specific cholesterol disorder. For general wellness, the recommended intake is 14 to 16 mg per day. Yet many over-the-counter supplements deliver 500, 1,000, even 2,000 mg per serving, doses that can be dangerous without medical oversight. So what can you do instead? First, look at your labels. If your multivitamin or heart supplement contains more than 50 mg of niacin, talk to your doctor, especially if you're on medications for blood pressure, heart rhythm, or diabetes. Second, be cautious of stacking supplements. Many energy drinks, protein powders, and fortified snacks contain added B3, and the total can add up fast. Mr. Ruiz made a full recovery. He now sticks to a food-first approach and focuses on walking, hydration, and balanced meals. He told me recently, "I thought a pill would give me energy. Turns out it almost took it away." And that's the paradox with some supplements, marketed as solutions, but when misused, they can quietly work against us. Niacin still has a place in medicine, but like all potent tools, it demands respect. Your brain and heart don't need extremes. They need balance, consistency, and awareness. And as we age, listening to our body becomes one of the most powerful things we can do. So what have we learned? The very things we often turn to for protection, vitamins meant to strengthen our hearts, boost our brains, or support our energy, can, when taken without guidance, quietly do the opposite. Not out of malice, not even due to poor manufacturing, but because the aging body processes nutrients differently. Our kidneys slow down, our liver becomes more sensitive, our blood vessels thinner and more fragile. And so even a well-intentioned habit, like taking a supplement, can build up over time and silently increase the risk of stroke, nerve damage, or blood pressure instability. But here's the good news. This risk is entirely preventable. It begins with awareness. It continues with curiosity, asking, "Do I really need this?" And it flourishes with simple choices rooted in nourishment, not excess. Your body doesn't need megadoses. What it needs is balance. What your brain craves is real food, hydrating, healing, rich in the gentle wisdom of nature. You don't need a cabinet full of bottles. You need a plate full of color. Leafy greens for folate, fatty fish for omega-3s, berries for antioxidants, whole grains for steady circulation, a glass of water in the morning, a walk in the sun, a pause before bedtime to breathe deeply and rest. That's how you protect your brain, not with fear, but with mindful choices that reflect who you are and what you value. You've walked many roads in life. You've learned to listen to your instincts. This is no different. Your body whispers before it shouts. Listen when it does. Read labels, ask questions. Talk to your doctor, not just about what to take, but about what to let go. Because letting go of what's unnecessary is also a form of healing. And if any part of this message spoke to you today, whether a story, a symptom, or a quiet realization, I invite you to reflect on it. Share it with someone you love. And if you'd like more science-backed guidance tailored for this stage of life, consider subscribing. We're building a community where knowledge meets compassion and where aging well means aging wisely. Because you're not alone on this path, and you're never too old to take back control of your health.